I started graduate school in Fort Collins, Colorado at Colorado State, and I learned to love Colorado. I got engaged and went back to Ohio. But I'm going to tell you, there are some wonderful things to see, and one of those is the Betty Ford Botanic Garden, the highest in elevation of any botanic garden in the world, and of course they're dealing with alpine plants in Vail. Let's see how it looked just a couple months ago when some folks out of Denver went out for a visit.
The Betty Ford Alpine Gardens started about 22 years ago by a number of local enthusiasts who wanted to show people what kind of plants would grow at 8,200 feet. In the last 20 years, the garden has grown much more than that. As far as we know, it's the highest botanical garden in the world. Certainly in the US, it's the highest botanical garden. There are about 3,000 plants in our database. I'd say at least half of those are native plants. We're educating the public about the plants of the alpine environment, about how to grow plants at this elevation, and the importance of the alpine ecosystems. We have children's programs, we have free tours of the gardens 3 times a week given by docents. There's always something going on. So much cooler here, it's like being a florist's cooler is what we always say, and the high ultraviolet light makes the plants look, so much more intensely colored. Let me take you on a tour of the gardens. So this is the Mountain Perennial Garden, which is the first part of the garden. This garden will start blooming in June and go all the way through to the end of August. The high intensity of the ultraviolet light here really makes the dark colors of the delphiniums stand out. So people often are familiar with the plant but don't recognize them because of that high intensity of color. This plant here, which is unfortunately not blooming yet, is Betty Ford daylily. It's a plant that was grown especially to thrive at this garden, and it was named in honor of Betty Ford. This is the Mountain Meditation Garden. It's a very tranquil part of the garden. It's a place with less color where people can reflect and enjoy the calmness of the mountains. And this is a style that reflects the mountains and the environment around us. This is the Alpine Rock Garden, and this is really the creme de la creme of the gardens. And it's mostly native plants divided down the middle by this rushing mountain stream. These are all the trees that are native to Colorado mountains, and mostly plants from this immediate area. One of the biggest misconceptions would have to be a financial misconception, and that would be that we have a large endowment and that we are operated by the town of Vail. That is not true. We're totally reliant on private donations, but the gardens is free of charge. We have free public tours and education programs. We also have membership programs where people can donate to the gardens and become members at different levels. And then we have a newsletter that goes out to members and invitations to all of our educational events and our social events. You can come and go here, and yes, come and park out here at Ford Park. Enjoy a visit to the gardens and then head on into Vail and enjoy the rest of the day.
I knew you'd enjoy your trip to Vail, Colorado, and I really would suggest you get out there in person. It's a lovely garden. Go some summer, and it'll make you a lot cooler than it will here in Texas. Andrea Rideout is visiting North Haven Gardens. She's going to talk to us in just a moment about urban homesteading right after this message.